Is this something or nothing?
All right, this is going to be aggregated on the internet.
Okay.
Eagles folks who haven't liked me for 7 years are going to say more proof Nick hates Philadelphia. I don't care. I know I'm right. 13 picks through 13 practices like Purdy had, too many. 0 picks through 20 practices, too few.
Nick, I 100% agree with you.
Thank you. I know it sounds absurd and it sounds like I'm just picking on guys. I don't mean it. It's too few. I need a little bit in training camp of like, oh, I took a chance there. Or it either means, in my opinion, either that you are being a little too cautious. Or this horrendous back seven from last year somehow has gotten worse. Like, there's no, you need a couple interceptions where it's mid-August in training camp. I am ready to be aggregated. I don't care. I know I'm right. I know that this is not ideal. I know I'm right.
Yeah, so like as A.J. Brown speaking on it, nothing. Like I like everything what he said. That's nothing. The point that you're making is exactly where I was going. The fact that last season he had so many interceptions, you obviously want to go into training camp and see him dial that back.
Yeah.
When you see that he hasn't thrown any, the first thing that I think of is, well, is he taking chances? Like, what risks are he really trying to take? Is he pressing the envelope, or is he just doing what most quarterbacks start to do when they've thrown a lot of interceptions, get a little gun shy, and now all of a sudden they get the ball down.
Right.
Up Saquon. Up, let me get my check down. Up, let me get the tight end. Let me just take what is right in front of me. And that translates to games. I'm not saying that that's what he's doing.
Fangio just lost
but
his
it's hard to believe that he's been taking every single chance and just dialing it in there.
I immediately thought, these guys they drafted might not have great ball skills.
Coach.
I'm like, no interceptions throughout the whole of training camp. That's a
You
little
like
bit rough.
interceptions too? Just a handful?
What's
the magic number?
Exactly. Defensive back.
But here's what I'll say. It's hard for me to grade someone down for being successful. Like it's hard to get like. We get mad at Purdy because he's got so many. We get mad at Hurts because he has too few. What is the magic?
You tell
number?
me.
I don't
How many does Mahomes have? I bet that's it.
I don't think there's a
the
magic
right number.
I think the goal is, are you going out? Are you trying new things? Are you taking some chances? And if he's taking chances and being successful, that's great and problematic for the defense as opposed to problematic for him. But to kill the guy,
I'm not killing him.
It felt like
I'm not killing him. It's just something.
It's something. Tangentially, I also have that same take on preseason fights. You know, I'm fighting every practice? No. Need a handful of fights. Need a handful of people pulling their helmets off.
Why?
Okay. Whew. I'm going to be chill on this one because it's so absurd. And listen, in a vacuum, in a perfect world, I can agree, right? You don't want too many and you don't want too few, right? Because that's kind of showing how you're kind of growing, you're learning, you're taking chances, you're trying to expand what you can do. But with limited information that we have, we want to jump on Purdy because he's because he's taking too many chances, because he's trying to learn and grow and expand his game potentially, or work on something mechanically, footwork, whatever it may be. We don't know because it's limited information. So the fact that we want to offer him automatically the more unforgiving perspective, I think, is absurd. And then with Hurts, he's now playing great in practice, no interceptions, and we want to now offer him the most unforgiving analysis of it. Oh, he's getting shy now. Right, Jalen Hurts is now suddenly shy. Right, all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts has never been shy in his entire career, has had to bounce around, had to fight tooth and nail to get where he was in college, to get where he was in the NFL, to get to the Super Bowl. Now, all of a sudden, he's just, shy. He only just wants to throw little two-yard passes to Saquon. Like, that's what we're saying. That's what we're implying. We're trying to say he's not really taking enough chances, most likely. That's what it is. Is insane. Because we know, if he had a practice where he threw 2 or 3 interceptions, that's the story. Boom. That's the story. Jalen Hurts threw a lot of interceptions. Is he not clicking with Kellen Moore? Are they trying to do too many things? This is damned if you do, damned if you don't. No matter what report came out with Jalen Hurts, whether it was 0 interceptions or 3 interceptions, 4 interceptions, I don't even know the number that they would even remotely satisfy them. It would just be boom, too many interceptions. I mean, it's just a lose-lose situation. But this idea that we want to, like, that's so disrespectful. So disrespectful to Jalen Hurts. Dak Prescott lowered his interception rate significantly from 2 seasons ago, I think it was, to this last season. Did people say that he got shy? Or did they say, he's the MVP, like Nick Wright did? He's playing unbelievable. Like, it's really weird that when something positive happens to the Eagles, it's either Jalen Hurts is not taking enough chances or that defense is just awful. Okay, sure. Whatever you say. It's just, and he called it out because he was, I know Eagles fans are going to get all upset. So because you're being inconsistent. That's what it is. It's not just about Eagles fans. It's being inconsistent. People respect consistency. If I say something bad about the Eagles or positive about the Eagles, at least I try to do something in a consistent manner. And it's like, it holds more weight if I now go ahead and say, hey, I think the Eagles should be great this season. I think adding Saquon, Fangio, Kellen Moore, blah, 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 blah. Right? I said a bunch of positives. And then this story came out, and maybe I actually really believe, hey, 0 interceptions is a problem. And now I come out and say, hey, you know what? 0 interceptions is a problem because they do need to kind of take chances and blah, 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 blah. You could respect that more because you could feel that that's being a little bit more unbiased. I'm sure Eagles fans would still probably come at me, probably get a lot of clown emojis. But at least the people who could actually understand what I'm saying would respect it more. But when you're constantly banging on that drum endlessly, then people have no choice but to say you clearly have an issue with this team. Like the fact that you can't ever give it up to them, that has to mean something, right? If we had that same type of approach to, like, I don't know, anything else but sports, that it would be considered a fundamental problem. It would be a big issue. So, and at this point, like I said, he does it because he knows that the Eagles fans will get upset. Well, he said, like, they're going to post on the internet, which is what he wants. It feels very strategic. And if he didn't just rail on Brock Purdy for throwing too many interceptions, because at that point, I mean, like, the number itself then doesn't matter. Because if Brock Purdy was really trying to work on something again, something to do with his mechanics, really trying to see if he can fit a certain throw in, and he just kept throwing throw after throw after throw after throw, and a bunch of them got intercepted, well, then it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. It's kind of like taking batting practice. It's like, yeah, whatever. We don't know what the approach was. So that's why I think even counting interceptions in practice kind of doesn't really make that much sense to begin with. I've kind of unpacked that earlier in terms of, like, what an interception means in camp. I'm not going to go through that again. But it's just like, right now, what it feels like, what interceptions in camp has become a way to just emphasize your already pre-existing view. If you don't like someone, if you don't like Jalen Hurts, if he throws 0 interceptions, you're like, that's bad. He's obviously, shy right now. He's not taking chances. And if he throws too many interceptions, he's obviously not that good. And even if he just throws a modest number of interceptions, it's, yeah, this was a problem for him. Should the Eagles be concerned? There's just no way around it. I mean, it's so consistently inconsistent and consistently negative is what it ends up being. Because, all right, what is the number for Patrick Mahomes? I would love to know how many interceptions he's thrown. What is he? If he's thrown 1 or 2, that's magically better than Jalen Hurts? Because he's taking chances or something? Like, it's just absurd. It really, really is. This idea that this could be something negative is just kind of comically absurd. I think they know it, right? I mean, it's like Greg Jennings is laughing, Nick Wright is laughing. I mean, it's just wild, just comparing it to fights. This is one of those segments that I think that's happened because they've now extended their show by like another half hour. So you're gonna get like quick little segments like this that don't really matter. But the Eagles are such a massive franchise that even something like this is enough to, it's still content, right? Content is content. I'm making a video on it now, right? Like it's working on me. I'm talking about it, but I feel silly talking about it. I'm going to be completely honest. I feel silly talking about it. The Brock Purdy thing made a little bit more sense because it was a lot of interceptions and it was reported in like back-to-back days and that was not kind of like that was kind of there was such this extra question around Brock Purdy that I don't think Jalen Hurts has. Jalen Hurts now has that questions very recently just because of how last season unfolded, but it's been with Brock Purdy since day one. I think there's just kind of maybe that extra, so I can like understand why they kind of want to keep drilling the Brock Purdy. He hasn't signed a big contract yet, so the whole thing is like, should he get the contract, should he not, right? Like there just seems to be a little bit more of a debate. You definitely have more people in the media be pro Jalen Hurts. You definitely have fans that want to pull down Jalen Hurts without a doubt. And even maybe some other players like Dallas Cowboys players. But for the most part, outside of say maybe Nick Wright, the media does tend to see Jalen Hurts a lot high. Maybe not a top 5 quarterback, maybe not even a top 10 quarterback, but they also don't think that he's just they don't call his 2022 year necessarily a fluke. At least the average person in media. At least that's not been my experience. I'm sure there's a couple of them out there that say it, but that's not the general consensus. But yeah, I don't know, man. I saw this and I was like, maybe should I do a clip on this? Should I not? And I was like, well, let me just watch it. Let's see what it is. And I watched it in real time here. And because I just knew Nick. That's the problem. That's how you know when someone is going to be biased in that regard, because I knew Nick was going to say something negative. I just knew he was going to have something negative to say about it. I just knew it. And I was excited because I was like, what did you just say about Brock Purdy? But it's like, they just kind of laugh it off. And it's just, it just feels unserious to me. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think Jalen Hurts, with his 0 camp interceptions, is something or nothing? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.